will receive a pledge card in the next several days, and I hope that you will faithfully pray about that, discern where God is leading you, fill in a pledge card, hopefully with a 10% increase over last year's pledge, so that we can continue to offer these wonderful ministries and opportunities here at Christ Church. We are only able to offer the ministries that we share because of your generosity. And so know that we are very thankful for that, that we do our absolute best to use those gifts for the building up of God's kingdom and the proclamation of God's name, that we are not able to accomplish anything without your help. So please be attentive to that. You will hear more about that from Sarah Marczynski, who is here this morning to talk about, thank you, about her stewardship journey.
Good morning. I have the privilege to serve on staff here in the Liturgy and Music Department. It's not an easy job to define, so when people ask what I do, I tell them I have had either a large hand or a small hand in any worship service or music event that happens at Christ Church. It's never the same day twice, and it brings me in contact with many parishioners and community members. I've worked here for 3.5 years, and this staff is a great place to be a part of, and this parish is a wonderful place to be. During my employee onboarding, Kylie Miller, who's back here, reiterated the importance of the Christ Church mission and value statements. They're actually printed on the back of your community news. There was a whole lot to learn in those first few weeks, and the core values were really not high on my list, honestly. They're wonderful, but they were quickly replaced by trying to figure out the copier, so we had 2,000 bulletins that we needed for Easter. As I continued my work, especially through the COVID year, I would see glimpses of them, but I didn't really stop to think hard about them in action. But in May of this year, I was forced to pause and to be still. In May, my husband and I welcomed the world's cutest child, Theodore Russell. Because of some medical complications on my part, he came 4 weeks early. When I called the priest on call number at kind of a scary moment at night, I had no idea until later that I was receiving compassion. What we at this church have defined as demonstrating God's mercy and love by caring for others. Compassion from whichever priest heard my very rambly 2 a.m. voicemail, and then received compassion from the staff, from the choir, from so many parishioners who were rallied after that and sent prayers, congratulations, offers of help, all of the baby things we still needed. Today has me thinking about Teddy's baptism in August. It's something that I get to do as part of my job, and I've watched numerous families through it, but I'm kind of the paperwork person, so it's a routine aspect of my job, not something that I would see the actions and see the values in action. That experience, though, in August brought those to life. I saw the gratefulness for Teddy from people who had never met him, and I saw the faithfulness in everybody in this congregation who enthusiastically agreed to nurture him, to, as Harrison said, take a risk to support him. Even the value that might be the easiest, inviting to all, it took on new meaning as I heard from my friends and family, none of whom are Episcopalian, that they were so warmly greeted by ushers and greeters, and they were helped through the BCP by those who were seated around him, and they felt invited to come up and to take communion or to receive a blessing. It would have been so easy for them to feel awkward or excluded by our traditions or our service, but they were genuinely included. Even the kids of our church have showed me our values in action. I get to work with a great group of kids on Wednesday nights that come for Children's Sabbath rehearsal, and they were the first to send Teddy a card and to welcome him into their community. I will swear that I heard the Buckner kids and the Province kids scream, shout, "We will," when the congregation was asked, like we just were, to support Teddy at his baptism. There's no better evidence of our church's commitment to faithfulness or how core it is to our lives together than those kids. It's been this amazing love and joy, and the best way I can describe it is that this church pulled us close and sheltered us under her wing until we found our footing. We were cared for when we didn't know we needed caring for. That is grace. And that's exactly what we're here to do as a church and a church family. I hope that at Christ Church, whether from me, from a staff member, from a clergy, from another parishioner, or for someone else that you have had that same point, that have at some point had that same touch of community or compassion or grace. I was so beautifully reminded that those values are fundamental to who we are as a church, and they only come easily when the community, the staff, the programming, the physical campus is set up with our core values at their foundation. As a staff member, I know a little bit about the financial resources it takes to lay that deep and firm foundation, and I can assure you that the staff uses your gifts of treasure and talent so prudently, with much thought going into how to be the best stewards of what you've given. So I hope that you'll join me and Michael and Sweet Teddy in giving to this year's annual campaign, so that all of the things are in place for the next person to find the shelter and the grace here. And if, as you reflect on the past year or the past 3 years or your time at Christ Church, whether it's short or long, I hope that you'll consider increasing your pledge like we plan to do. Just imagine what this place could be like if our gifts and our increased resources came. The wings could be bigger and the shelter could be taller and the grace could be even more overwhelming. So thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much.